Welcome to the Simple Minds podcast, where six mates unpack three topics over a new drink each week. Fuck it, just go with that. We'll fix it if it's...
Hello, universe. And
Can you read us?
Is anybody there? Welcome to episode number 25, quarter of a century of the Simple Minds podcast. And we have a very special guest today as well as our usual crew. To my left, Travis.
Hey.
Justin.
What's up?
Marco.
Hello.
Special guest to Marco's left is Jose.
Hello.
Jose has been mentioned on the podcast a few times. He is Marco's father.
He's got the number one ticket.
Number one ticket.
That was like it. I would imagine doing
Champagne
Sanchez
on
sound.
Had the champagne on us today, I reckon.
Dirty Jose. Jesus.
Swaggy C.
And next on the mic is Conrad.
G'day.
Say hello, Conrad.
Hello. Hello, Conrad.
And Mr. Magic Matt
Present.
is present today.
Physically, anyway.
Physically, maybe emotionally.
That's exciting. 25
Yeah,
is really
dangerous.
good. It's really good. 25 episodes.
house today.
It's like nearly
First time in a
that's a whole, because they're about an hour each. It's a whole day's worth of
Oh shit, that's true.
And all of the gas bagging before and afterwards as well.
So I am hosting today, and therefore I am the man with the drinks. And I thought today, I've been a much more of a red wine person over the later years of my life, but I've gone a white today and a Chardonnay, which, is...
Later years of my life. How old are you, Mike?
I'm 45. But I'm as late as I am just now. I'm as old as I am just now. So Chardonnay, which has sort of made a bit of a resurgence the last few years, I think. It used to be a bit of a 90s drink.
The Shardy.
Shardy, yeah. And this is a WA wine. This is from the lovely Margaret River from Forester Estate. 2017 Chardonnay. So
Fresh out of the ice bucket.
the ice Tupperware bucket.
The ice lunchbox.
So let me get pouring.
We might have some
today
expensive equipment. We got no ice bucket.
we shared content again today from the guys that are on for content, who are Conrad and Marco. Some people only watched some of the content about half an hour ago. But
Some haven't watched any of it.
But I think we're going to go.
We're
going to go first to Marco today, and then followed on by Conrad. So while I pour, Marco, do you want to take it away?
I do. Cool. So I shared a quote with everyone, and I'll read out the quote. And there's a cool question that came to me after reading the quote. This is really one of my most favourite quotes that I generally come back to probably at least once or twice a month. And it's by a very famous basketball coach called Coach John Wooden. You guys might have heard him with interviews in Tony Robbins and other kind of forums like that. But an amazing track record, and I think Conrad or Travis might be able to speak more about him as a coach. But the quote is the following: "Stop focusing on the score of the game and focus on one thing you can control. How much you give every moment you're on that court. There are going to be days where you win and where you lose, but those will be based on your measure of yourself. If every single moment you're on that court, you're engaged on level 10 or above, and you gave every ounce of yourself every minute, it doesn't matter the score. You won because you became more, you gave more, and in life we don't get to keep anything except what we give, because that's what makes us become something different." My question that came to mind straight away from that is, how are you measuring yourselves at the moment? Are you measuring yourselves? And that talks really to the first half of the quote. The second half, there's a lot to it as well. But does anyone track, not necessarily track, we could talk about the actual life measurement stuff, like how much sleep and all that, but my example, to kind of give you the sense of what I'm going for here, is if I am exercising more than I'm spending time on learning stuff about video and edits, then my balance is out of whack, because I have to, at the moment, I have to be going to my work to Shell. But then outside of that, my discretionary time, am I spending more time doing the old stuff, which was a lot of triathlon, a lot of sport, because I love it, and I just kind of got used to that lifestyle? Or am I now giving more of my discretionary time to what I want to pursue? So that's been a good measure. And actually, when I shared this quote, I realized, maybe it's time for a bit of an update for that. So I'm keen to hear what you guys have in mind with those sorts of things. Anyone want to take it away?
Yeah,
We didn't really talk about the wine, did we?
mine's with meetings. I just how many meetings I've had and then the depth of those meetings. That's how. I mean, I track activity. I mean, you guys know I just track to every part of my life. Sleep, time in the office. We're not laughing about sleep. I track my meditation. I do actively track my health statistics. Was formerly with that in-body scanner with Dale, but I still have a nutritionist that does that on a monthly basis for me at the moment. So I track as many parts of my life as possible. So when it comes to my impact, I track how many people I've met with and the quality of conversations I have. And I sit with my PA once a week, and she pretty much questions me on that level. So that's how I audit myself.
Has that changed over time, or
The depth of conversations probably have. The volume of meetings probably haven't. So I'm probably more a quality than a quantity type person. No, so I don't tend to do too many. I tend to look for the ones I want to do.
yeah? I really like the sort of quality interactions with people is a really good measurement. You know,
for sure.
who you're around, who you're talking to, who you're influencing.
Yeah.
That's probably one thing I've really knuckled down on recently and been sort of thinking about is general interaction with people. You know, as I said, how many meetings, who you've been able to connect with, be it somebody on the street walking past or client or friend or family. I really like that, and it's something I'll continue doing. So, and I track my meditation through an app, and I've been pretty good with my meditation this year, and that is one thing. And I think because you can track it, you can sort of see where you are in your life and see if it's working or not. Because obviously, without the analytics of anything, you're not going to be able to actually see if it is making a difference or not. So, it's a couple of things that I've been doing. Is that the sort of the answers we're looking for here, or?
Yeah, no,
or is it about?
I'm not too much. So, I mean, we can go wherever, but I'm not too much interested in, streaks of meditation or.
Yeah.
Body fat percentage and stuff. A really good example, I think, would be
Why not?
if I can anticipate. Sorry?
Why not?
Well, I said we could go there if we want, but if Michael's asking what I wanted and envisaged, so this is my answer.
Well, I suppose from the quote, what I get is, are you putting enough effort into whatever it is you're doing?
Yeah.
Is there enough focus on doing the right thing in whatever moment? So, even if it's something maybe you don't want to be doing, are you actually still giving it your full attention and putting your full effort into it? Mm. And maybe if it's not something you're wanting to do, maybe that's not working out so well. I don't know.
But you're right. To measure the success of anything, you have to be able to measure something, right? So, fair question. What are you measuring your success against? And I don't believe it's a bank balance. I don't believe it's the amount of friends you have on Facebook. So my philosophy at the moment, and it has been for a while, is about the impact I'm leaving with anyone that I come across.
I don't think this quote really was. I know you can obviously ask any question you want, but when he's talking about measure of himself, I don't think it was more just a general grading of yourself as opposed to measuring those different items and bits. I think it's more around, and if we're using the context of a basketball game, I guess if ball's in hand, don't look at the scoreboard, know the next thing you have to do is put the ball in the hoop that time, focus on that, don't think I'm 12 down, I've got to take a three or whatever that looks like.
But if you shoot the ball with the purpose within the context of the game, okay, in the structure of the offense, you've done your best. Whether it goes in or out, you really don't have that say.
Yeah.
So if you take the context of Coach Wooden, it is that the score doesn't matter as long as you've shown up.
Personally, I'm the total flip of you two. I don't track anything, and
We don't, mate.
I go all on gut instinct and all on feel and all on energy. I'm big on
Yeah,
energy.
but I'd say you still track
Excuse
that.
me, but I was talking. Thank you.
But you track
But just to let me finish, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but just that's the way I do it. And I ask myself one very simple question, but it's quite a deep question, and that is, if I died tomorrow, would I be happy with my decisions today? And if that's ever a no, then I look at why. And I look at why it's a no, and I do that with relationships a lot as well. So if
But do you
I'm
do that
having an
daily?
issue with someone, I wouldn't say daily, no. I revisit it when I need to. I try not to overanalyze stuff because I'm a very deep thinker, and personally, when I start to think, I get too deep within myself. So I try to just chill out as much as I can, and then when I actually do need to think, then I actually input the time and the feeling to it. But if I analyse too much stuff, I go mad. So I'm totally different to you guys, but I understand why people like to.
It's only in
analyse
a
it.
couple of things. I mean, I'm not measuring everything in my life.
No, but I beg to differ, right? I reckon if you're telling me you're going on a gut instinct, you know what it feels like. You're moderating through a different methodology.
But at the end of the day as well, we're not. Yeah, I would agree. We're not going down the path of. For me, it's not about the analytics. It's like it's not about the destination. Is how I interpret it. It's like it's not the end point. It's not the winning of the game. It's that if you show up, you take responsibility, you gave it your all. That's all that matters in life.
Yeah.
And it's actually like. It was today's Daily Stoic. I printed it out. It took me It was hard to find because I didn't take a photo. But today's Daily Stoic was actually along the same lines, which is that joy. It goes along the lines of joy for human beings lies in proper human work. So pretty much the first. This is Marcus Aurelius. Just that sentence is pretty much what John Wooden is talking about in my view. Is like you do the work. You've got to do the work. And not worry about everything else that goes with it. And then Marcus continues to go on and says, and proper human work consists in acts of kindness to other human beings, disdain for the stirrings of the senses, identifying trustworthy impressions, and contemplating the natural order and all that happens in keeping with it. So, which, you know, if we come back to John Wooden's, he's referring to don't worry about things that are out of your control. Do what's within your control. Impact or meditate or whatever it is. Like take responsibility for what's within your control. And in terms of self-reflecting on it, I mean, I just journal daily and you know, in the morning and the evening, and I go through ebbs and flows of you know, and I think it comes back to whether you're frustrated with the outcomes you're currently achieving. You know, like
How are you measuring that, though?
and that's the point.
That's where I
Like
wanted to go.
where it's like it's not the destination, and it comes back to then balancing that out of like, are you happy with your current performance? What tweaks do you need to change? Like, you know, are you unhappy with that thing or whatever?
Okay, so what are some things that you, from a gut feel or whatever, feel that if you're not quite, you're 100%? So what sort of things will trigger that in you to think, I'm not giving everything? Are there specific things that happen, or ways you track that? Or
I don't know about whether I track them.
You are your own harshest critic.
Yeah.
So if you're actually lying to yourself, then you already know.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely.
I think it's more of like self-reflection in that, like a recent thing we've had some success recently, but when I look back at it, it's through consistently doing the work that's led us to here.
Yep.
You know, it's kind of that element of like, no one's actually lucky. You actually create the luck.
Yep.
And it's through the consistent hard work of showing up every day and doing that small thing. Or like Trav was sharing, you know, you might have to stay up at 11 or 12 and respond to a couple emails or action a couple items. And I think, Matt, you know, you've done a bit of similar lately. And, you know, that's doing the work. And if you did that today and you fell off the perch tomorrow, at least you gave it your all. And I guess if you have days where you don't feel like it, just trying to be honest with yourself that you didn't, and you can't win. You don't have the right to complain or self-loathe or, you know, whatever.
Because it was your choice.
It was your choice. Particularly if it was in your control. There's so much. That's how I took.
Yeah, no,
took the
thanks for
quote.
saving that one, because I put it too specific, like low level. But what I was going for was that, you know, do you know what you're trying to achieve, and then how are you holding yourself accountable through measures like that? Mine just was a very specific example of how I'm doing it. I don't know, Dad, did you have any?
Yeah, I think measure, or the idea of measuring, is not a numeric one. I think measuring could be, you mentioned if you feel fulfilled, oneself will feel whether give it 100% or not, and you only will understand why not, and it's understanding yourself, whether the measure of your energy to whatever you're doing, the measure of your passion for what you're doing is strong enough to make you happy, right?
So do you have any things that you're trying to hold yourself accountable to at the moment?
Yeah, try to be focused on the job. I struggle. I think I've done this for many years, and
Do you want to give a little bit of, because some people might not know?
yeah, sure. So what I do is I work for a mining company in Perth, and I'm involved with projects, and a certain area of project management, big picture. And so I come from an environment where I've been dealing with billions and billions of dollars in projects, and now I'm dealing with 100,000, 250, which is order of magnitude difference, and the approach, the people, the thinking is different. So I try to put an emphasis on what is the core concepts of what we do, and the way I measure myself is how much reception I get on the message I see, and it's through different manifestations. My phone rings more often, or I get more emails, or I connect more.
But we have chats about you not enjoying work, right?
Yes.
So let's go there, not so
Okay.
much.
But before you go there,
Put
can I
me
just
on
acknowledge
the spot.
Can I acknowledge what you just said, though, Jose?
Yeah.
Jose, you said that measurement is not necessarily numerical.
Yeah.
Okay. So to get back to what Travis was saying about being different to you and I, Michael, he's actually still the same. He's just using a different tool to measure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jose, can you just say passion again?
Passion.
I reckon Justin.
Sorry, Justin. I think you lost your
Oh no!
that sexy South American accent.
Okay. So
Why did you pass those jeans on, by
let
the
me
way?
bring the elephant that he just parked on the room. I'm not happy with my job.
So Jose,
That's true.
with the projects that you're on, you said from $1 billion to much smaller budgets and sizes.
Yeah.
Are you still applying the same principles?
The concepts are the same.
Yep.
Is the level of detail or the intensity to which people should stick. There are things that you will not do.
Yeah.
But it's possibly psychology is one.
Yep.
In a big environment.
Do you think that's maybe why you're not enjoying it as much? Because the psychology pressure isn't there? The job isn't as...
Or is it, sorry, Mike, in the context of the quote, Marco, have you been pushing this out to almost like life, the game of life? And like Jose, like you had the element of like, where if you were in the context of the game of life, are you feeling a bit annoyed with what you're doing? Mayov is like, do you believe what you've done has been giving it your all? Like, is that where you're at that point? Like, I don't know context. I'm just, I'm taking
that's exactly
Marco's
right. Yeah.
thread here, and I want to take the energy of Marco, and is that why you're feeling frustrated? Because obviously, with no disrespect, you're a little bit few years on myself and Marco.
No, he's not much older than Michael.
Probably not.
Excuse me.
We connect.
Do you know where I'm
We
going with
connect.
that thread?
I think the unhappiness of I think I'm getting tired of the routine. I'm 63, and I've been doing this for many years.
Have you given it your all?
Yes. One thing that they can not blame me is not to be passionate, and I become the highlight of my intervention everywhere is because I am very passionate of what I do, and however, sometimes my style of communication is not the best.
Yeah, we all know that.
And
Mine's terrible.
you know, I struggle sometimes to connect that way, you know. But I try to give it my best.
Are you struggling to give it your best now?
Yeah. Well, I still
Because
I
the
have
passion is
snippets
okay.
of my best. But I do two different things. One is what I just explained. The other one is go and represent the company in South America. I travel a lot to Colombia and Brazil, and that is a much more high level involvement. So I enjoy more that rather than you know.
The question I've got for you, Jose, is what does the job give you the ability to do that you enjoy?
Well,
so you just mentioned travel?
Absolutely.
Yep.
For example, gave me the opportunity to go with the family to Spain in March and visit my brother for his birthday. Give me the opportunity to go and buy whatever piece of photographic equipment I would like. Yes, I go out to Bunnings. I call it the church. So I go every weekend to the church and get whatever I like.
No, but this is, you know, we have chats and you go, look, what I really want, all I really want is just, I want a place and I want a little shed to do my woodwork and take some photos, and I'm just sick of, like, I'm tired of going to work. I'm not making you to, like, I'm making you out to sound like you're complaining, but you don't put it that way. It's just, that's the sense I get. So the question that I put to you, like I put to myself, is, well, what are you doing about enjoying it? Because you keep going to work, you keep smashing yourself there.
So what I try to do is try to look for variety in what I do. Dealing with, so for example, today I decided not to be in front, I spend a lot of hours in front of a computer. So I go and talk to people. But going back to your point of the shade and all these things, I like them. I do them as in the measure I can.
How much time do you spend woodworking?
Woodworking?
Fuck all.
So
no, actually a little bit lately, right?
Yes. Okay. Well, I've been doing fuck all.
Yeah.
And I dropped it a bit to something. I built sawhorses. For, you know, you can put 2,000 kilos on top. Oversized and over-dimensioned. I don't know. I'm going to use them for nothing.
So hang on, you built sawhorses so you could do woodworking.
Yeah, but
so you actually didn't really do any woodworking.
Yeah,
you did. Made of wood.
Can I ask a question?
For example,
sorry to be a bit rough, but do you think you're actually really holding on to, or you want to hold this dream of woodworking all day long? If you actually were put in a position where you could woodwork all day long, that's actually not what you'd want.
No, I would not be able to do every day, all day, woodworking, right? Now, let me define woodworking. Woodworking, we're not talking the one with the, you know, with the chisel and very fine and polished and.
Pinocchio?
No.
You're talking industrial.
So, for example, industrial. Yeah, I like heavy duty.
Yeah.
For example, we decided with Barbara, my girlfriend, we wanted to do some birdhouses. Okay, so we went on the, you know, the recycle bits. So we went and picked up bits and pieces, wood from the birch, and we built these birdhouses with recycled material.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I can show you a picture later.
See, I can hear the passion coming through now. You're talking
this
about
is what we just talked about with Dale, right? The glass half empty, glass half full thing. What are we paying attention to?
Yeah.
Okay, we can say work isn't something we love doing, but work in the context of what you're just saying is enabling you to do so much more other things. And without work, do those other things exist? And if they do, then great, why are you going to work? And if they don't, then you have to enjoy the work because they're enabling you to do those things.
Yes. So as an enabler, absolutely, thumbs up. But it's too many hours to be an enabler.
So can you make the adjustment now? I mean, are you financial enough to do that?
It's on the cards. It's something that I am looking, you know, probably
I
drop.
know a good example of someone who's been able to scale back their mining career to adjust their lifestyle to allow them to live out their dreams.
Yes, and I applaud that. I applaud that because, and that having balls, which I didn't have at 30. Okay.
Yep.
So
Well, you got his from somewhere.
possibly.
Genetically, they came from you, I reckon.
But one thing that I learned from Marco probably 2 months ago, is this thing that I don't know the conversation we were having, but I was saying something. Oh, I would have liked to do this or that. I don't know. It's something that context and says that. When was? Oh, this was 25 years ago, for argument's sake. And that was the best time, he said. And I said, yes. And guess what? When is the second best time?
Exactly right.
Right?
Right now.
Right now.
The Chinese.
So
Where was that from? Where was that saying from?
It's normally the best day in a man's life. The second best day in a man's life is when he buys a boat, and the best day is when he sells it.
Yeah, but they also say that in relation to planting a seed.
Yeah, I've forgotten where I got that one from. I might have it in my notes here.
Well, Marco, one of the things you measure time with is when time disappears when you're doing something, right?
Yeah.
Like messaging
And
at 2 o'clock in the morning.
so Jose, when does time disappear for you? Is there specific times? Is it making birdhouses? Is it rummaging through like scrap wood to?
Yes. Those things. I think everything that you focus on and you enjoy in that particular moment doing makes time pass by very quickly.
Yeah.
Whether it's maybe you're writing an email and focus on what you're doing, time goes by. Obviously, I like to do things with my hands, woodworking or photography or, So I realized that I spend too many hours indoors, gets the weekend, and I am urged to go out, drive around or walk around, and that helps me to balance.
Yep. Going from, Marco's original quote, I think what you just said just then is whatever it is you're doing, be it an email or whatever, you are focused on doing it at 100%. I think.
Yeah.
I think. Well, that's one of the keys to whatever you're doing. I think.
Yeah, well, that's what I continue to take from this. Of like, the first step is acknowledging, what game you want to be playing, and then engage it fully, right? And I think what this is about as well is like, even if we were to fall off the perch tomorrow, you may not have achieved where you wanted to go, but at least you can die knowing you took the right steps to get there.
Yeah, are you at least playing the right game?
You're playing the right game. So like if you want to do that thing or do something else, you've got to start taking the steps today. And it could just be one little thing, the smallest little thing, but you've got to, at least you can go, you know what, at least I tried and gave it my all, whether I achieved it or not. And I think that's
It's acknowledging that you sometimes lose as well.
and you have your off days and your rough days.
Yep.
It's that no regrets thing, right?
Yeah.
But I also don't think you can get away from the analytics. Now that I really think about what we've talked here, I think, we just go back to the lead and lag measure approach. Like, what are you measuring? Like, not to hammer at you, Hayto, I've certainly done similar things myself, but you're saying, I don't measure because I can get lost in that. Well, what are you measuring? And I think often we can sit in a deluded space pretending that we're giving it our all. But are we? And if we go back and look at the real numbers, have we actually done enough that we had planned to do that week, or have we just told ourselves it was okay? So take away the scoreboard, but then how many shots did I put up at training? Which piece are you measuring? And then are we just telling ourselves, qualitatively, I did enough?
No, I think you bring up a very good point. To put that into real life situation for me, basketball wise, last year I had a really shit year, and this year we put a few little goals in, KPIs per session, per game, to keep me focused and keep myself accountable. So I think yes, I do have an aspect of that sort of analytics, broken down for sure. I think that is important, but I just try to, enjoy life a little bit more than overanalyzing it. That's probably what I was getting at, rather than really trying to, micromanage every decision I make, every minute I make, because, personally my outlook on that is life is too short to do that for me. But I acknowledge that some people are like that. So
It depends what you pick, right?
Yeah.
In terms of to measure, it's like for discipline can set you free, but as long as you set the right disciplines.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying that like I don't measure everything in my life or some things. I'm just saying probably not to the scale of what Conrad does.
No, but I think your example of when you walk away from interactions or the interactions that you do analyze, and whether if you weren't seeing them again, would you be happy? That's you're measuring aspects of how you've engaged with them and how you've made them feel and how you've been as a person. That's the sort of level that I was going for in terms of how are you measuring yourself. Daily. What are you looking at?
To flip that back on your example, Marco.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be curious to know that if you are doing that extra 3 hours worth of training a week, whether there's a 8% more like higher quality of editing. When you're editing, you're just in a better frame of mind. You're doing more. It's quicker.
Maybe.
Is it time related? Just a thought. Like if you're feeling like you've shaved too much time off the training piece, and you're like, no, but I have to edit because that's my key passion. Like, is maybe that providing you with a better outcome?
I think I've got the balance right now, and when I posted this question to you guys, I actually realized that that's now a bit of a dated measure for me, because I've moved on from being addicted to trying to do all of that exercise and do the work and trying to fit this in. And it made me realize, actually, there are new measures to set for myself and to think about them. So how focused am I in certain things? One big one for me is I'm very easily distracted at the moment. Even though I would do big chunks of work, my actual concentration time, because I'm allowing myself to be distracted, is I'm talking minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Yep.
And that's a measure that I need to...
Are you picking up on that when it's happening?
Yeah,
Like
totally.
with meditation, when that monkey mind starts again, are you aware enough to go, shit, back to it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And that's good and useful because I understand where I'm trying to go.
Yep.
So
we're going to round that one off.
round that one out.
And by the way, what did everybody think? Oh, there's another bottle of the
Tasty.
Chardonnay. It's nice.
Not
Isn't
bad.
it?
Check you on.
Pretty crisp.
Just let me add something. I think it's to do with the measure. You mentioned KPI. And I will particularly for myself, the reaction to the measurement is very different if somebody else put the KPIs rather than myself.
You've got to own your measures.
You have to own, or the dedication, the passion to what I need to do. I think will be different if I say, well, okay, I want to achieve this KPI, I put it myself, or my coach, my boss, whoever said, we expect to do this.
Well, it comes down to why you're doing it. At
Correct.
The end of the day. So
Yeah,
if you buy into the end vision, then
You just said why, and Michael didn't cringe.
I know.
Inside I did.
You didn't say why.
He said
I reckon
vision after.
there's a good piece here, though, and I still come back to understanding what your job currently enables you to do. And I think if this is not me telling you what to do, but if you allowed yourself to then measure yourself as to how much time you're spending doing what you love doing, that your job's getting and enabling you the opportunity to do, I think the value perspective might come back into context.
Yes, I think so. For example, the other day I was at the church, and and I started talking to this
priest?
employee, one of the priests. Yes, was not the church; it was a parish, a small one. And I asked him, so how long he was an electrical distributor before. So I started inquiring about becoming a priest.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
But just out of curiosity,
Just to work at
I dared to think.
That's pretty cool.
how...
Bunnings is
you know,
a hardware store, if anyone doesn't know that.
yeah. That's right. So yeah.
That's a pretty cool transition, though, right?
Yeah. And but took me. So I inquired. But what I realized, I was very passionately inquiring about this.
Wow.
And how many hours can you choose your store? And
I reckon, though, you would attract more women into Bunnings than men.
with a hello, I'm passionate.
Exactly. I'm going to come and hang out at your Bunnings store.
Were you playing for the advert to like get on the shirt?
I can just see the zoom in from all the little squares in those ads. All right, shall we move on to the next?
Yeah,
content?
Conrad. I'll
Yeah, cool.
nip and grab the other bottle of wine. I'll be back
Could we just play any like interlude music?
if you want.
So I circulated a video called The Last Lecture, which is a video of a book that I read 7-8 years ago, maybe. And it still sits on my coffee table because I refer to it quite often. And the background on this lecture was it was spoken at a university called Carnegie Mellon in the US, who specialises in, off the top of my head, IT and coding, and has one of the biggest coding faculties in the world. They also have a division of Carnegie Mellon in Sydney, near the Catholic Church there, funnily enough. And so when I was walking around Sydney, I saw this. It was actually quite interesting to just stick my head in and walk around and get a feel for the campus, which is really, really cool. Now, the lecture itself used to be called The Last Lecture because it was usually given to people that had graduated of the school, and they were allowed to come back and give a talk about whatever they wanted to talk about. But that was effectively their last lecture at the school. And in this case, the last lecture was given by a bloke by the name of Randy Pausch, P-A-U-S-C-H, and he happened to be dying. So in effect,
A little quicker than most.
Yeah, a little quicker than most. He had some tumours in his liver, I think 10, when he was giving the lecture, and he used the opportunity to effectively pass on life advice to his children.
That was the last thing he said, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What did he call it? The head fake.
Yeah,
the
the
last
head
one.
fake. And so the context and when I got given the book was, and I'm my dad. My daughter's 17 years of age. My father had just passed away, and I was going through some interesting times in my life. And it was probably a book that allowed me to simplify things and value things a little differently, to see what my dad had really passed on to me without necessarily telling me, but looking at it from a dad's perspective, and then allowing me to reassess my interaction with my daughter and what I value of the lessons that I'm trying to pass on to her, not necessarily through a lecture, but through conversations and through actions. And the reason why I wanted to share it with you, and I took the time because I knew Marco was bringing Jose in today, and I'm getting goosebumps talking to you guys about this at the moment because it does resonate with me at a very, very deep level, was two things, and we're all men here, and all bar Trav and Marco are parents. Trav also has a furry cat called Winston.
Who's my child?
Oh, and Justin.
I wasn't aware that I had.
sorry, Toby.
Sometimes I do.
So for those of you that have children, I'd love to know what you'd like them to have learnt from your life. Maybe 1 or 2 points. It's going to be interesting to hear what Jose has for Marco. And for those that don't have children, what would you like to tell your dads that you've learnt from them? That you may or may not have said.
Good question.
All right.
Silence says it all.
So I'm going to handball over to. I'm going to come back to the father and the son in the room last. So we're going to go to my left. Now, unfortunately, Matt Hanham hasn't heard the video.
No, I apologise in advance.
That's okay. So the
anyone
context
listening.
for you is that obviously this man's dying. He's given advice to his young children, so that when he's passed away, they have an opportunity to learn from him in their own time.
And it's a really interesting one because he talks about him dying right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I was like, okay, so we're going to be talking about death, thinking about death, but it's the exact opposite.
It's the exact opposite.
It's
yeah.
life. It's making the most of every
And it's
single
dreams
second.
and shit, right?
Oh man,
It's crazy.
Well, as a father,
2 or 3 things that you want to tell your children.
I've been attempting to show them, and this is something that comes to mind regularly. But I want them to ask questions, and don't just take someone's advice or whatever it looks like. Don't just follow along with exactly what is going on and what everyone seems to be doing. Ask questions, and really seek and follow their passion, and die trying if that's what it comes to. So I within the realms of being a father, like to think that I do my best every single day to try and show them that no matter if I'm going through something that's difficult which I clearly don't talk to them because they're young children about my difficulties, but I'm absolutely sure that they sense these things. They're pretty
How old
smart.
are you?
They're pretty
How old are your
intuitive. 6 and 3. So
And their names, you don't have to tell us, but I would love to hear them.
Olivia and William.
So you're talking to Olivia and William.
I'm talking to Olivia and William. I just want to show them that I show up every day being the best that I can be that day, and that I work on being tomorrow or doing something today that'll make me something better tomorrow, and plan on doing that till my last breath, and that I would love to see them do the same thing. And
why is it important?
because that's, I guess, my core value set, and that's what I would like to see them live the best life they can, and that's how I think they need to take responsibility of that type of mindset and action to achieve that. No one is going to do that for them necessarily. Their best life isn't related to money. It isn't related to anything in particular other than them pursuing what they believe to be the best course of action.
So are you telling me on a scale of 1 to 10, can you tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, how closely are you living those lessons to pass on to your children?
I live the best life I can every day.
On a scale of 1 to 10?
Look, is that complete? If I can't give that a yes/no answer or a 1 to 10 answer even, because I don't.
Conrad likes measuring, by the way.
No, but I can measure. Look, if I looked at yesterday, sure, it's an 8. The day before might have been a 5. But every day, I know I'm not going to deliver perfection. I just do the best I can every day.
Good.
So that's why I framed it that way, because it's not. I'm human, and that's fine, and that'll mean ups and downs and sideways and all the rest of it. So it's just coming back every day and doing the best that I can.
Which is that the whole John Wooden thing about, are you giving 10 or more, then that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's okay not to give 10, but it's not okay not knowing.
Well,
that
I
you're
used to
not
give
giving 10.
myself incredible grief if I wasn't giving 10. But I think that was the bit that I'd start to give myself grief and go, hang on, it's okay, because I'm human. I'll turn around the next day. It is what it is. I'm doing the best I can today.
Yeah. Gotcha. Handball Mike.
Ooh. Well, I have children of a slightly different age,
Names?
Samuel and Emma.
Hey, Sammy.
Samuel is 15 years old and Emma is 18. So
Good
she
luck
is,
with the footy season, Sam.
yeah,
Children.
big game.
Yeah,
tonight.
that old.
I know that. Yes, makes me feel old. But I think it's really interesting because I've been on a big change in the last 4 years in my life. So they've been witnessing it as older kids. So they're not young. So they're remembering. They're seeing me change. So I'm kind of, I suppose, maybe showing them the way through what I'm doing, so which is really interesting. And for me, for them, it's just do the right thing at every stage, whatever decision it is, just do it. And always do it. Be kind and do the right thing. That's kind of like the number one thing that I push into them. And they're good kids. Sam's had a lot of, not ups and downs, because he's handled it really amazingly, but Sam's had some big things come into his life in the last couple of years. Type 1 diabetes being one of them, which is an amazingly hard thing to live with. It's a life changing thing, but the strength he has with it is, to me, every day I think about it. I mean, type 1 diabetes is one of these things that when you wake up in the morning and walk past his bedroom, you look in, yeah, he's breathing, he's there, he's cool, and you sort of, but it's part of life, you just do this now. The way he's handled it is better probably than I would have handled it at that age. So hopefully I've done something right with him.
So in the context of watching the lecture,
yeah,
what 1, 2, 3 things you want your children to know?
From the lecture. So
within the context of the lecture, so how he told his story. So you watch that.
The other one is to learn and experience and enjoy life. The learning part.
To learn, experience, and enjoy life.
Yeah, yeah. And especially with Emma just now, in putting it into context, she's halfway through.
You're living this.
Yes, yeah. And that's what I was saying, like in the last 4 years, I've really shifted my focus on trying to improve myself.
Yeah.
From a health aspect, from a work aspect, from quite a few different areas in life. I mean, they've always known that I've worked for myself, so that for them, I think that's something good for them to see and to try, and they know that's possible,
yep,
which is good. And we've taken them a lot of places, so they have learned and experienced a lot. They've travelled a lot, been overseas quite a few times, and as youngsters, we were always taking them places. So I think the experience, just living life to its fullest, is probably the number. I know that's all very heady, like big stuff, but I mean that's what life is. It's making the most of it. So, and I mean that was Emma watched a little bit of it last night with me as well, the video, and Joanne as well, which was good. But I think the biggest thing that I got from the lecture itself was the one thing he said right at the beginning, which was, don't worry about the brick walls. Like, the brick walls are going to be there wherever you are.
I've got the quote for you.
Yeah, but it's how badly you want something that's going to get you over them or through them.
Yeah, the brick walls are not there to keep us out. The brick walls are there to give us a chance to show how badly we want something.
Yeah, and this
because
is
the
I wrote
brick
that down,
walls
so.
are there to stop the people who don't want it badly.
Because life's
enough.
hard, yeah? And that's what the other thing with the kids. I mean, Sam's had it hit in his face with all this sort of stuff, but he's dealt with it and moved on with it, and we've moved on with it. And it's like, yeah, shit happens, bad things happen, good things happen, but just keep going. So,
cheers, mate. Travi.
So what was the question about?
The question
is, what do you want Winston to remember you? Winston the cat.
teaching him every day?
What lessons do you think your father has taught you?
I'm going to go qualities rather than lessons. Two things that I've...
And if you can give us examples how you've shown them to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Two things I would love to tell my father that he's taught me but I never have would be patience. That's one thing I never had as a child, and he has in abundance.
Yeah, I was going to say, if there's any bloke that's more chilled than Travis, it's his dad.
Yeah, honestly. So prime example, I used to do pole vault when I was a kid. I'd go to school, go to training every day after school, sometimes before school. He'd pick me up from training, 6:30. I'd be hangry, I'd be tired, I'd be grumpy, and he would say hi. And if I bit his head off, he would just sit there and drive me home and just have the patience to give me my own space and stuff like that. But later on in life, I've learnt a lot more patience from him, the way he deals with... he's a sheet metal worker. He's a leader within his, not a manager. He's a leader within his company. So he doesn't. What's that?
Entrepreneur.
Yeah. But the way he would always talk to me how he deals with the apprentices and people like that, and the patience he showed with me. Every Tuesday he would help instill into me hard work. I used to do a paper round since I was 10 years old, 10 to 14, so 4 years. Every Tuesday.
Hard work, man.
Yeah, I'd come home and I'd roll the papers, and then we would bundle them in the car, and he would go and help me.
And you don't get paid, right? I did this for a long time. And you get $7, and you would work half the weekend.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So he patience was not a quality or anything that I ever had. I always was go, and I still do, but that's something that...
Yeah, Mr. Hustle.
And I love my father for showing me that. And the other one is eternal love. I know that's a bit fluffy, but you look back at your childhood, and I'm 28, so he's of that generation that They came through. He just did what he needed to do to keep a roof over our head, us clothed. Like, we never had a new couch or a new car or anything like that. And it was all because he eternally loved us. And I never truly understood that until I was about 22, 23. And I kind of grew up slightly. Still haven't. But yeah, that would be the two kind of, I guess, qualities or instances that I've kind of learnt from my father. But I've never actually told him that. So that's something.
Shout out, Mr. H. Well done.
Yeah.
We'll send him a link to the podcast.
There.
JB,
Me. Lessons I learned from my old man.
what's he shown you? Yeah.
What's he shown
me?
me?
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's exactly that, right? What have you learned from him?
Before I go there, I really enjoyed the lecture, and I took completely different stuff out of it. And this is a
Cool.
big curveball coming from this avenue. I did not expect.
I'll come back to what you took out of it,
Yeah.
because I'll be interested to hear what you took out of
We could probably just cut the first question and spend more time on this one.
This one's deep.
it. You don't know how much this means to have shared this with you guys, especially you two today.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. So, the lessons I've learned, I'd probably go a similar track to Hayto in some regards. My father wasn't around for a lot of my early years because he was working. We never had it well off. We had it pretty rough. We moved from Adelaide to Perth when I was quite young. My little brother was still a toddler. We crossed the Nullarbor, drove straight, packed everything into 2 old cars, a Bedford van and a Holden Premier V8.
And how clear is that image right now?
Yeah, I remember it very well. And so I guess, my old man has taught me a lot about persistence, about kind of doing the work. And it's a little bit of that Tony Robbins track of, I think, through some of the mistakes he made, he taught, I'm very different to my brothers as well, because I went through this and remembered it a lot. And my brothers kind of got the good end of the stick towards the...
They're all younger, right?
Yeah, and my parents and my dad worked hard to get us out of that rut. And so they experienced the good times and I experienced the other times. And so he kind of, through action rather than being there, because he wasn't there, I knew, like, almost that internal love thing. I always knew that he loved me. I never felt that, like, he wasn't there, but I knew he was always out trying to work. And so he probably has made a lot, and I guess, your mothers have influence on this as well, but I think he's made me a lot of who I am today and why I have the drive, the ambition, and why I don't want that for my family and things like that. And he's shown that, if you're knocked down, you just get on with it. There's always an opportunity. There's always a solution. And I guess that's probably why I'm in the position that I am now, because I don't fear that. I just know that I can do it, and whatever it is. And they've given me that kind of belief. And he's probably given me that belief that you can just keep doing it. And so, if I don't know whether I've ever, again, told him that type of stuff. And yeah, that's probably one of the core things that is pretty vivid. And I know that he just wants to give back and make sure that we've got the best life as well. So yeah.
It's funny, sorry to jump in, like, I never truly valued family when I was a child, and like growing older and reflecting back on your father's love for you, you understand the eternal love for you, like for the eternal love that they show you.
Unconditional, eternal. I mean,
Yeah.
interchangeable, I guess.
And I think the other thing I'm really maybe proud about with for my father as well is, like, I just remember going up through school, and I only ever remember 1 or 2 fights with my parents. And I remember going through high school, and my parents were still together, which was a rare thing. And I know my dad tried so hard, and he was patient as well, with my mum, and stuck through it the whole time, no matter what. And I think that meant a lot to me as well. And through, I guess, action, and Matt and Mike, you talk about the actions. That simple action of, I guess, patience and sticking through it, commitment has really influenced me a lot.
And I appreciate what you've said, but what did you take away?
What did I take away from the lecture?
Yeah.
Well, completely different things from
That's all right.
the lecture. I really enjoyed the lecture because he talked. He comes from a field that's very close to what I do and part of my passion.
Not as
Can't
good.
do it as
Not
good
as
as
good, Justin.
Jose. Which is virtual reality.
He's been head faked out of the voice.
Oh no!
Head fake. So for me, the brick walls thing really struck big, and it's a little bit the John Wooden. Don't complain. Get on with the work. Give back. Enable others to do their dreams, and
Give back was huge.
Yeah,
message.
Be authentic and truthful to yourself. Be honest. Do the right thing. Oh, there's so many of just like these common
Massive quotes in
these common threads. Be self-reflective. Get feedback, but listen to the feedback. Don't be arrogant. Don't be a dick. And good karma and things come around to get you. And a lot of these things as well. I probably have learnt from old man and also this group too.
Few old men here, mate.
That's right.
Can I butt in just for a sec? There was one thing I wrote down which is very relevant to what I talked about, and Justin as well, is the knowing that giving somebody the time, like knowing that somebody can, even though you might be frustrated with them at that moment, or over 6 weeks, over a year, over 2 years, just keep giving them that opportunity and it will come. That was one of the really strong things. Just keep going with somebody, give them that time.
Was that this one? Wait long enough and people will surprise and impress you.
yeah.
When you're pissed off at somebody and you're angry at them, you just simply haven't given them enough time. Just give them time and they'll almost always impress you.
Man, and with kids, that's like paramount. That's amazing.
There was somewhere he made no one is all evil. Like no one is all evil.
Yeah.
Which was the tail end of that quote.
Yeah.
Which was that struck me as well.
Funny how we very similar, like, because I can't see too many notes from us, hey, but like we pick up on very similar things.
Yeah. So.
We had to put father and son
I
on
was
the
going
hot
to
seat.
say, this is going to be
Yeah,
the climax of the episode coming
So
up.
Dad, I'm quite excited that my answer to Conrad's question comes very quickly to mind, because I think that just shows that I didn't struggle to come up with an answer, is what I'm trying to say. And for me, and Conrad, you stole my thunder on the wording. Mine is unconditional love, and by that I mean I have through my school and uni, and then taking time from uni to go pursue bartending, and then coming back, and now obviously going through a transition of walking away from an engineering career to go try and pursue videography. At no point have you ever made me feel bad about that. You've always just been like, Marco, do you understand what you're doing? And you've always helped me explore whether I understand properly or not, and never made me feel that I was making a wrong choice by you, even though I know how you guys came with maybe $1,000, $2,000 to Australia. You put me through, and my brother, through a school that cost orders of magnitude more than that a year, and then paid for my university degree. And throughout that whole time, when I decided to take time away from uni to go work in a bar and earn less than £4 an hour, but for me that was really important. You never made me question that. You always said, do you want to be a bartender? And if so, then go be the best bartender you want to be. And then now you're doing the same thing. You're saying you've been like, well, do you understand what you're doing? And you've questioned, but you've never made me feel like I'm making the wrong choice. And I think that's unconditional love. And so you've taught me that, and you've shown me that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Get goosebumps, man. I won't try not to cry.
So
But it's true, because think about how much you've invested into, say, my education, and at the moment sometimes I feel like I'm throwing that in your guys' faces, but I'm not, because all of that has formed me to be smart enough and the person I am to be able to make this decision and lead the life that I want to. But you've never said, well, I paid all this money to send you to uni. You've never done that.
He's thought it.
Well, now that you mention it, you're a dick.
Will you put the old man on the hot seat?
So
And I say that
that's
first.
very nice, and as a father, one will never expect a son to say this. Will
Don't
never.
speak in like third person. You could just say,
I will never expect this. Thank you. Yeah, I tend to do that.
But it's funny though, right? It's because you've heard three men talk about unconditional love.
Going back to the first question, I believe is what we did in our lives to be transmitted, and I think one thing that comes as a constant throughout all of the years that Marco and Andres were young is
That's my brother.
Constantly I was putting embarrassing behaviors. Whether I not jump the queue but go to the excuse me, go there and ask the question, and constant, that is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. So that was the head fake. The message was is the fact to be inquisitive, ask questions, or to be listened. That was basically, and that came to realization after I was doing it, but I was transmitting this way of interacting, engaging people. The other was always respect. Respect. For me, I left Argentina because the lack of respect. And just to pick up on something, we arrived here in '86 with $5,000 at that time, and I was earning for 3 years around $500 a fortnight as an engineer. And to pick up another thing that Marco said, and the expense of going to those schools, we were doing a tax return with my accountant, a great guy, Tony Mayo, and it's my Maria, and I sitting in front of the accountant, and he's writing and says, Tony, we're going to register Marco and Andres in Christchurch for that. So as soon as I finished saying the word Christchurch, he stopped, right, put his pen down, looked at me, and says, do you know what you're saying? Do you understand the meaning of this? And I looked at him and said, but I think so. We think so. So, and he said, they are 5, 6 now, and this is a commitment for the next 13 years, at least. That so I personally I could have been much richer, but the investment is here, and the answer was we have to pay their entry fee to the Australian society, okay, because they don't have any baggage with us, there is no background with us other than a couple of years or 5 years in the country at that point. So that was a very important thing for us to the commitment we had in education and engagement with society. The other one was to laugh of oneself. Okay, if I cannot laugh of myself, then I will take exception people laughing about me. I have to be the first one to, and that's what I can see from them. They enjoy what they do. They sometimes behave like clowns, but they are enjoying and they laugh of themselves, right? And definitely something that also picked up from Paul's video or lecture was Paul?
Randy.
Randy. Paul.
Randy.
I mixed them up. Yeah, I mixed them up. Sorry. So it's to be better than me. Okay. I don't have the balls to quit my job, even at 63, and become a priest.
Yeah.
A Bunnings employee. This is so they do it at 30. Okay.
But I'm going to jump in there because I've never gotten from you that I want to be better than you. I've always gotten from you, you just do you. You go and be the person that you want to be. And it's never been about, well, I've achieved this and I want you to achieve above and beyond that. It's always been, is this what you want to do? Then I completely support you, unconditionally.
Sure, but I was referring to the emotional wealth.
Okay.
Okay, to the richness inside, not to be wealthier, money, or to be stronger. Just the emotional strength, right? And which absolutely you smashed every chart, and I watched the video twice from on the plane. They have now this Wi-Fi thing on the plane, so I was able to stream it, and this morning at 5:30 this morning. So made me cry both times at certain points, and I have full of notes here, but every single thing was mentioned so far is a highlight of I picked up. I think it's a brilliant, and I already forwarded that email that video to friend of mine that they will benefit from this in all aspects.
Cool. Got goosebumps.
That's it. Yeah, I spoke to him.
Well, I love you, Dad.
I love you too. I love you too.
It is crazy. I mean, I think what we do take for granted is the opportunity to speak to those that are around us whilst they're alive. So my challenge to you guys have gone through it, my challenge to the rest of you, to have conversations with your parents, your fathers, your mothers, those that are parents, have conversations with your children and make them real. All right, don't let a moment like a cancer announcement drive the action. Don't take time for granted. I never got to speak to my dad. I speak to him every day, but I never got to speak to him.
And I think you can, in a way, the way that Travis reflects on whether that person would be with them or not, you can create that. We have the different strategies of, thinking about death. You can, if you have to, think about that and use it to motivate you to have those conversations. But the message still holds, don't wait. Don't wait, don't put it off.
No.
And I feel,
Yeah, and I think the fact we're talking about this, thank you, Conrad. I know it's tough for you, and it all gets us thinking. I can't recall, and I apologise, but could you share one lesson that your father has passed on to you that you wouldn't mind sharing if it's okay?
Yeah, mate, there's been plenty. Be honest with yourself. And value humility. Two big lessons for me. You talk about coming to a country with $5,000. He came to a country with $20. Back in '73. Died a very financially well-off man, but made a lot of sacrifices. We didn't go to Christchurch. We went to a Catholic school, which was equally, he had 3 kids to put through there, equally as tough. Dad worked 2 jobs most of his life to give us that opportunity. I never saw a lot of him. And growing up, I didn't really understand, nor did I really appreciate it. In fact, I probably despised it. It's not until you become a parent that you can probably try to understand some of those things.
think the common denominator is sacrifice.
Yeah.
And through sacrifice is transmitting those values. As you mentioned, whether it's the amount of money one comes, it's not easy. They sacrifice the 2 jobs, and you got that. That is a big message, unspoken message.
Yeah, 100%. And if my dad, and I found it after he passed away, some of the conversations he had with some of the people in my life, including the girlfriend at the time, he told her that he was proud of me. He never said that to me. He never said it to me. And why he couldn't feel like he could say that to me, I'm not sure. It got communicated to me via my partner at the time. But that's why it's important for me to tell you, to ask you guys to communicate real communication with those that you love. Fathers, mothers, children, friends, whoever. And I'm happy that you've shared it. Share the video around. And with those people that you think might benefit from it, and let them go on their own journey with it.
What's your father's name?
Everyone knows him as Billy. His real name is Joseph Vivian. And yeah, it's been 9 years this year.
Okay. Thanks, Joseph, for enabling us to have this conversation through Conrad. It's amazing.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Back to you, Mike.
Let's wrap this one up for today. That was quite an intense episode. And thank you, Conrad, for sharing. Thanks, Conrad.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And thank you, Jose.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Just give me passion one more time.
And
it
champagne.
was very passionate, this conversation.
Can you say I'm
Thank you.
passionate about champagne?
Passion.
About champagne? You gotta say champagne.
Champagne.
See ya.
Yeah.
Right.